Hey, how you doing? This is Kitch, and you are watching me play Factorio Uncut. I am heading up here to the very top of the factory, where I'm going to go and grab that bootstrap base that we set up that was making the red science and the walls. We have our bus somewhat set up right now, so it seems like it would be much more effective for us to place our science somewhere that'll take advantage of that. And plus, we need green science too. The walls, yeah, let's just go ahead and take it down. I'm going to regret that decision, but at least we can point back to where it all went wrong. Okay, let's clean up these power poles a bit too. It's not really important, but it makes me feel better. No, that will not do. It's better. All right, and I think that is okay. You're not really doing much for us right now, are you? Let's go ahead and pull this up. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and leave it simply to protect our radar there. Which doesn't need to be there. But I do want to move this one over, I think, so that it protects the coal a little bit better. I'm expecting, looking at the map and the way the pollution is spreading, we got a biter base up there. We do have a lot of trees and green tiles here, so it's going to take a while for that pollution. It'll get there eventually, but it's going to take it a little while to get up there. Down here, we're polluting down. It's desert. It's just wide open. Pollution's just barreling out, going that way. And there are probably bases over here. I don't remember from the map preview where they're at. But I'm expecting our attacks to come from the south before they come from the north. But that being said, I still want to go ahead and defend this area. So that 5 or 6 episodes into it, I'm not getting an attack up here that I did not prepare for. All right, we're starting to get a hefty amount of ammunition in our inventory now. I'm happy about that. And I probably should have checked the range. Okay, yeah, that's covering all that up there. You guys are good. You're not walled though, but that's okay because those overlap. Okay. All right, so we haven't made science now in a while. I would like to rectify that by creating a red and green science line that's going to feed into the lab setup that we started in the last episode. So yeah, I think we can go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead, roll the intro, and I will see you on the other side, where we'll start making science stuff. And if you can just remember that one thing as you're building your factory, I think the game will make a lot more sense and just everything will fall into place. Speaking of that, we need to make science. And I'm going to start that right here where that machine is. We need to make our red science again, like we were doing before, but we're just going to build it here off of the bus. And we're going to build green science as well. Now, green science is a little bit more complex in that it requires items that are a little bit more complex. It requires transport belt, which we've built before. It just requires gears and iron. And then inserters that also have an extra ingredient in that they require green circuits. Green electronic circuits, which we have on the bus. We have everything we need right here in order to make these sciences. Now, I did bus gears, I did bus circuits, I did not bus transport belt, and I did not bus inserters. And, I mean, it's, you feel free to, you can if you want. My kind of general idea on what if something goes on the bus or not is basically how many of these little sections it's going to be used in. Gears and circuits are going to be used throughout the base. Everything is going to want some gears and want some green circuits. Well, maybe not everything, but close to everything. Whereas transport belt and inserters, I mean, I'm going to use them, but I'll have a dedicated, like, molish area for building those. But as far as other things being built, nothing requires those other than green circuits. So if that's the case, I'll build them on site, or if it's only used by a couple little modules, I'll go ahead and build those on site. But if it's something that's used in multiple things, I think that's the point where it makes sense to go ahead and bust things. And, you know, play your way. I did a series a long time ago where I just bust basically iron and copper and just base stuff. I didn't do gears and circuits and stuff like that. You can do it however you want. That's just my general approach to it in these kind of generic Factorio playthroughs that I do sometimes, if I'm not doing anything crazy. Okay, so that is good. We know what we want to build now. That's an important thing. And another thing that's really important to know is how many we want to build. I see this a lot with more inexperienced players where they're like, okay, I want to make red science. How much red science? Just all the red science, right? And that's fine. But may I suggest a more controlled way to go about it? It's to determine basically a goal or target for your factory. Generally, that is something like science per minute, science a second, how much science you want to process in a given time. And it's a very good kind of mark to set for your Factorio playthrough. And what that gets you is now you know how many of these you need. You need enough of these. We're going to go for 1 a second, right? Let's just go for 1 a second. Or 60 a minute, I should say. So now that we have that target, we know how many of these we need in order to accomplish that goal. And also, we know how much of this stuff we need getting here in order to produce that. And then we know how much we need to smelt, and we know how much we need to mine exactly. We know the exact number that we need in order to accomplish that goal. So we're not just arbitrarily laying out machines. It just makes sense. And it works out a lot better. All right, so let's set some of these machines. Now, I set 5 down, and this is kind of a general rule of thumb. You can look here in your inventory section where you do your handcrafting, and it'll show your recipe down here on the tooltip. It requires 1 copper plate, 1 iron gear wheel, and the next line there with the little clock symbol, 5 seconds of crafting time. So if a red science pack takes 5 seconds to craft, in order to get 1 a second, we're going to need 5 machines making those, right? Makes sense? In order to get 1 a second, we want all 5 of these to go. All right, but it's not quite that simple. There are other factors involved. If we look at this assembly machine, let's just get the tooltip here for an assembly machine 1. We can see that the crafting speed of this machine is 0.5. So that basically means that as we're producing these science packs, it's not 5 seconds of crafting time, it's double that. It's actually 10 seconds of crafting time because these machines run at half speed. So if we want 1 science pack a second, we're not going to need 5. We're going to need 10. Right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think that's right. You can also just pull up a blueprint to do that counting as well. All right, and I think that'll do it for us. All right, that should get red science, and then we'll have a belt coming in that has... let's see. We're going to be producing one of these a second, right? So that means we're going to need 1 copper plate a second and 1 iron gear wheel a second as well coming in on this belt in order to support that. And if we look at our belt here, it can carry 15 items a second. You divide that by 2. Roughly 7.5 a second. So this can bring us 7.5 a second, and we need 5. So that belt will completely cover all of these machines. All right, and then we'll have an output belt right here that these guys are going to spit out onto. And then on this other side, we can start making our green science. Now, how many of those are we going to need? It has a 6-second crafting time. So for 1 a second, we would need 6. And doubling that, because we have a 50% crafting time, we would need 12. Basically that many, right? But we also have a complicating factor in that we also need to make transport belt as well as inserters. How many of those do we need? We need 1 every 6 seconds. Transport belt makes 2 every 0.5 seconds. So that should cover all those machines with just 1. And you require you do 0.5 you do 1 every 0.5 seconds. So that means that in order to support, basically we need 6 a second. So in order to support that, we need in 6 seconds, you can produce 12, right? So 1 machine will work for that as well. All right, so let's get... Okay, if we make you, like, inserters and we make you transport belt, you require gears and iron, so we will need a gear and iron belt coming in. You require iron, gears, and you also require circuits. So we need a line of that coming in. And then we need a way to get this goodness right here going down here into our green science. I tell you what, let's take that there and move that across like that. That can stop there. That can stop there. And then if we have a belt coming out this way that goes under, that can come down here and feed all of these guys, right? And how many is that? That is 9. We need 10, 11, 12. That gonna work? I think so. All right, let's go ahead and set green science here. And let's see, this line will go all the way. Another little thing I'm doing here is I'm making red science on this side of the belt. I'm making green science on this side of the belt. And what we'll do is we'll have it where these guys spit out like this across from each other. And a little bit on... oh, we need some more inserters. A little bit on some inserter mechanics here. So inserters, when they're pulling off of a belt, they will prefer the inside lane, but will also grab from the outside lane as well. This is going to be a mixed belt, so it's not that big of a thing. But if this was, just say it was a pure copper belt coming in, nothing but copper on both sides, and we had 2 pieces of copper coming in that were on the same, basically, tile. This inserter is going to grab from the inside first if it's there, and if not, it'll grab from the outside. So it prefers the inside, but will grab from both sides if needed. Whenever they are spitting out, they will always spit out onto the outside of the belt. No matter what. They will never insert on the inner lane. It'll always go on the outer lane. So coming out here, what we should have is a belt that has green science on this side and red science on this side, and ne'er the twain shall meet. And we can take that up and put it right there. We don't have to do any other crazy belt side loading or anything like that. They'll just load on there naturally. And they should be producing at the same rate, provided we are getting the inputs to them that they need. And you guys can just go out here. And we'll get that pattern. And then you guys will need to pull as well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make these fast inserters. So they will pull all that out. You need to pull from this line. You are going to spit out there. You're going to spit out there. Exact same concept. The inserters will always be on this side of the belt, and the transport belt will always be on this side of the belt. And we are missing an input right there. And that's not going to line up, but I'm okay with that. All right, is that all we need? I think so. We just need to run inputs to it and get power going. Let's get power. We'll do power first. Might as well. Go ahead and take that down. Do we have some bricks? We do. Let's go ahead and get that working. And then let's see if we can find a pattern that works here. We need some more of those. And I'm going to go ahead and build just a lot of inserters in the background because we need to expand smelting here very soon. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that one's going to be off. Well, it'll just have to be that way. 1, 2, 3. It works out nicely down here, though, doesn't it? 2, 3. There, and there. All right, what's going on here? Let's see. Can we move this in? We get rid of that power pole. And this. This is. That's just going to have to be that way. And I'm just going to have to live with that. All right, that works, though. How are we doing on undergrounds? Not great. Let's go ahead and cancel inserters and get those going instead. And then get more inserters. All right, so these are dummy lines here. That was just for spacing. We have this belt coming in right here that is going to be a mix of copper and gear wheels. So we need to get copper on one side of that belt, gear wheels on the other. And the way I like to do that is to do a splitter right here. And then we'll take that underground. And then we'll want a splitter. Is that on the inside? That is on the inside. So we'll split off our gear wheels there. And send those under like that. That'll curl up like that. And this is what, whenever you hear side loading, that's what we're doing right here. We're side loading this belt by just sending a belt directly to it. We're going to get copper on the top. We're going to get iron gear wheels on the bottom. And this will lead to an interesting phenomenon, which we will see a little bit later. That kind of drives me crazy. I haven't decided if I'm going to do anything about it yet. But you can kind of see it happening right here. You see one lane is moving and the other lane is not. We'll see what that turns into a little bit later. But that's going to get those guys. We have gears and we have copper there. Okay, and right here, we're going to have another mixed belt. This one is going to be gears and iron. So it's pretty much the exact same concept that we did up here. We're just going to be putting it in a different spot. So you will go right there. We'll take you underground. And then we'll have gears coming in right there. Coming up, going across. And we'll split that right there. And then that will provide our gears and iron for those guys. And then we just need some circuits. Okay, circuits are going to come from over here, and we can't run it on this line. Can we? We can run it on this line, but we can't run it on this top one because they can't share the same line. So we'll just put it right there, run that across like that, and then when it comes in here, we'll just scooch it up real quick so it gets right beside it. Like that. We'll go ahead and split these off, and I'm going to go ahead and just set this up as a double splitter, and I'm going to put an output priority pushing to the left here and one pushing to the left there, and that was an output priority, not an input priority, which I tend to do accidentally. So that is going to just push everything over to that side, so we ensure that that belt is always going to be as full as it can be once it passes through there. So we're sending a full belt over there. You'll see that this line is now empty, and it will continue to be empty until this one backs up. And now that it's backed up, it will go ahead and fill. So it's going to put a priority going over here to our red science. All right, all that look good? I think so. What are we missing for... We just magically gained the ability to get more inserters. I have no idea why. Doesn't matter. Don't question it. I must have picked up some circuits and gears as I was doing that build, I'm assuming. Okay, this all looks good, and then for the final thing we want to put is some defenses down. And can we make some more turrets? We can make 2 more turrets. That'll cover pretty much that side, and I'd like to have some on the inside as well. Walls... not till we start getting really pounded. I don't think I'm going to worry too much about those. And what do we need to make more turrets? We need copper. And let's see, are we getting kind of close to needing a radar? Trying to decide if I want to go ahead and put one. We'll wait a little bit. We'll hold off on that. I just want to make sure all that is good and defended. And it is somewhat. Let's go ahead and plug some of this stuff in and get it sciencing. Get that powered. And then we should be able to just move a line from our bus over into this, and that'll kick all that on. Okay, and let's just trust but verify. We are getting red science, so that is a good sign. All of our machines are animated, which means they are producing stuff. We're getting our belt and our inserters. That is going down here very well. All these green machines, some of them aren't. I guess we're only getting inserters down to this line. These guys are going to go ahead and fill up and get a little bit of an internal buffer going. So it'll take a little while for all these machines to get going and get caught up, but we should have at least a transport belt down here, and we do. And we are getting our red and green science on the line. That is coming up here, and all of our labs here are filling up. We should have some extra labs. How many do we have? We have 5. So the way, we can build this out and expand it is just place these guys down. And we can just continue to daisy chain these off to... I forget what the number is that you can actually support before it becomes inefficient. And basically these inner labs won't... the outer labs process before the inner labs do. So they just constantly send stuff that way. I forget what the number is. I want to say it's like 8 or 10. It's been a while since I've actually done that. All right, we're not researching anything. Let's fix that. Do we have anything that we just absolutely need? Well, we need all the things, but let's go ahead and do the better ammo since it's so cheap. It only requires 20 of each, so 40 science to do that. Yeah, let's just get all these cheap ones. Advanced material, ooh, combinators. Engine, more inventory space. Yeah, we'll just research things. All right, and that is looking good. Are we keeping those up? Are we keeping up with these? Is everything going? Okay, this final machine is actually producing, which means that we are producing enough inserters for that to happen. All right, well, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Red and green science is out of the way. I think in the next episode, I think we need to expand our iron production, definitely. And I think that will be our next goal. And then I want to go ahead and just set up a mall or an area, make everything, and a setup that's going to create all the things that we need moving forward. Things like belt, things like inserters, things like assembly machines, things like power poles. I want to get all of that being just automatically made so we have a place we can go. And we don't have to sit here and handcraft it all. But that will be next time. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you then. Have a good one.